I'm a computer scientist living in New England. The purpose of this tutorial is to show the basics of using Docker and Docker Compose to bring up a SQL server with a sample employee database derived from the Department of Computer Science from Aalborg University. Note that this employee database is not affiliated with any organization. It's a collection of mock data. For this tutorial, I have published a GitHub repository that contains all of the necessary contents in order to get this sample database up and running. You may be a computer science student studying how to use SQL, learning data manipulation, declaration, and retrieval. Perhaps you're a programming enthusiast who would like to sharpen their SQL skills or learn the more administrative side of things. Let's get started. First, let's take a look at the contents of the Docker mysql testdb repository. This GitHub repository will be in the description below the video. First, taking a look at the Docker Compose file, we see a few items. The image that's being pulled is the MySQL latest image from Docker Hub. This is a Debian image that contains certain bash scripts to create and deploy MySQL using apt and Linux permission manipulation. Luckily, this is created using a Docker file contained within Docker Hub itself, leaving us to use what the open source community has created. Second is the command, which uses a MySQL native password. In this case, it's noted by the environment variable specified here, MySQL root password. The port that is used is 3306, which is traditionally the MySQL database port for whatever server that you're on or using. And finally, the volume mount specification takes the contents of what's in this db.dump folder in the root of the directory and mount it at the docker entry point initdb.d daemon file directory in the root of the container. This will initialize any .sql file within that directory. So to begin, we need to use bash to concatenate all of the split files in db.dump in the db.dump folder and put it into a file called employees.sql. I'm using Kali Linux, which is a Windows subsystem for Linux here. So I'm going to change the directory into db.dump, and I'm going to concatenate all of the X files and put it into an employees.sql file. Next, we'll need to remove the X files contained within the db.dump, as there isn't a use for them within the container. After, we'll spin up Docker Compose. Since I'm on Windows, I'll be using Docker that I have set up on Windows 10 Pro with the command Docker Compose up. So I'm going to exit out of bash, and I'm going to be using PowerShell, Docker Compose up. Now this will take a little while. So taking a look, we can see that the daemon has started. There's some warnings about deprecated TLS. The way that this Docker Compose file is set up is for an insecure configuration. There's some time zone information that is not being loaded, which is okay. For the purpose of this video as sort of an educational tool, we're just concerned that this employees.sql database is running. And as you can see, at this entry point, we're running the initial database declaration here, which is the product of all of the split files that we concatenated earlier. Now, as you can see from the output here, we're ready to begin. So connections are now able to be connected to via port 3306. So from here, we can see that I'm using dbeaver version 21.2.1. I've created the database connection using MySQL. It's localhost over port 3306 that was specified in the Docker Compose. We can see that I'm connected to the employees database, so it's using the employee database. Now to continue, I can show the tables, which will give all of the tables that we have here, employee salaries. So let's select distinct employees, or distinct wildcard from employees. and then we're going to limit just 100 employees. So as you can see, we have return values here. So, all right, please let me know in the comments below how you found this video, whether it was informative or not. Thank you.